Who and what is under the sombrero?
It's a good question, my friend. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what is this podcast? What is the purpose? But we're our mission is where between you and I, a Mexican and an American, but we're here to bring a fresh perspective about Mexico and all the topics will be about Mexican culture, cuisine, places, history, and this beautiful country. And we plan to have other Mexicans on the podcast that can share a perspective of Mexico.
Cool, so let's talk about this.
Bringing you under the sombrero from the eyes of an American and a Mexican sharing a fresh perspective of Mexico.
Okay, so welcome to everybody. We're starting this new podcast, and so we're welcome.
We're very happy to bring this new podcast under the sombrero. It's been quite the journey to get here so far, preparing ourselves for everything. No,
Yeah, you're right. And so, what's your name, my friend?
I'm Andrew, and you?
I'm Semeir. Right now, I'm living in Mexico City. What about you?
I'm closer to Chicago, in the state of Illinois, in the United States. For all of our listeners to know, it's in the Midwest.
In the Midwest.
hmm
Okay,
So, how did you start getting into English? What was your motivation? Why did you start learning English?
why?
Uh huh.
It was because everybody know that now we're in the middle of this situation called the coronavirus.
Really?
So, yeah, unfortunately, we're living in the pandemic times. And so, some months ago, I started learning English because I was looking for a new job. And
Mhm.
so I decided that it was a good opportunity to learn this language and to get a better opportunity. That's why.
I think those are all pretty good reasons to start learning English and everything to find new opportunities and everything. I think that's a really good motivation to have. And how do you feel about your English now? Where are you compared to at the beginning of the pandemic?
Is different my level. I think in the beginning I didn't know anything or any English at all.
Uh-huh.
Now I feel more comfortable and continue making mistakes, but
hmm
little by little, as we used to say some months ago, I'm improving my levels. So I know it's gonna be better as time goes on, but
hmm
I feel pretty good now.
No,
S-
you're go
And
ahead.
no. I was gonna say that I know that you are learning as well
Uh-huh.
Spanish, right?
That's right. That's right.
How do you feel about your Spanish?
It's kind of like you said for yourself. We kind of like started from nothing and we use the phrase little by little or in Spanish poco a poco for for many weeks, many months and things started to progress through like our conversations and everything. Like we met on italki through you sent me a message one day in September. I
Yes, I
was
did.
I I was kind of unsure because I was receiving like a lot of messages of people that wanted to do language exchanges. So I saw your message and a lot of other people's. I'm like, man, a lot of people aren't even responding to my messages after I send one back. It's just like, what's the point? So I was just like, all right, let's try this again. And I can remember that we were gonna set up for like a Saturday or something, and I told you no, I was busy or something. You're like, it's okay, it's okay. And you were telling me like, oh man, like he types so well, like I'm afraid to actually like talk with him in Spanish in like a conversation. And I'm sure it was a lot different your reaction when you first started talking. I was not probably the person you thought I was.
No, I thought you was so great with your Spanish, even if you was learning this language
Work.
for you were learning this language for some weeks, some months, but I think you had a great level of Spanish. I felt afraid of my level because I was thinking what I'm gonna say when I'm having a conversation with this guy. Something that I can remember or I can recall that was interesting for me is that on your profile or on your picture, a photo here in Mexico City, in a
Mhm.
famous square in Mexico City. And I thought, this guy, he already came to Mexico.
It's true that that picture, as you know, is from El Monumento a la Revolución, or the Revolution Monument in Mexico City. And yeah, it's I've been to Mexico. I actually lived there for a couple months, surprisingly. That's another story we'll get into to another time. That's too long to share now. But as you said, like I know I didn't answer your question earlier, but I feel a lot better about my Spanish now. I still have issues to express myself. I don't like in this sense I don't have like the vocabulary to like express the way I want to talk sometimes, but if somebody wants to have like a conversation or if I were to move to a Spanish speaking country, I don't think it would be a problem. I think you would say the same thing. It's just more like the profound conversations between like friends and other people becomes a lot harder on certain topics.
Yeah, I feel the same. Sometimes when I wanna say something, I can I can find the words
Hmm.
that I want to use to express what I'm thinking, but I think sooner or later I'm gonna do it.
No, definitely, because I think it's just with time and practice and just staying consistent and in your studies. Because you haven't even been studying for a year yet, no? You started in what, June
Yeah, on
or
June,
uh-huh,
in the middle of June.
the 20th, no?
Yeah, 2020.
Uh-huh.
But you said that you came to Mexico, you lived in Mexico, and I think you, or well, what do you think about Mexico? What was your perspective that you had before visiting Mexico?
I think I had a perspective that a lot of foreigners had before visiting Mexico, that Mexico is a very dangerous place and all these things because that's how the news portrays it and kind of like what people tell you. And I think it's a big misconception that a lot of people don't understand. Like that's not really the truth. Sure, there's problems in terms of murder, corruption in some cases, but there's more to it than just the corruption. It's a beautiful country all in all, and I learned so much about culture, the cuisine, and everything that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't visit Mexico to actually like live there instead of just like the typical sorry all my gringos the typical gringo that goes to Los Cabos or Cancun or something. I think you need to actually like have like real experiences to go and do something like more cultural.
Yeah, I think there is this misconception of Mexico. That's why we're creating this podcast because we're gonna go into some topics and
Hmm.
try to explain this vision that a Mexican guy who's living in Mexico has about his own country and the perspective or the point of view of somebody that is an American but
Hmm.
already visited or lived for some time here in Mexico, and we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna share some experiences that we have or we had in the past.
No, definitely. I think it's going to be pretty exciting to share all the experiences we have and then bring some of our friends on and have them share their experiences to give everybody kind of like a more well-rounded perspective of Mexico and like a better viewpoint. Like we're not saying like this is the only way to think. We're just giving like a new perspective. I think that a lot of people need to see from people that actually live there in different parts of Mexico.
Okay, and so do you have Mexican friends that you are talking with frequently?
I have a couple now. I like yourself as I'm talking to you right now. And
Right.
then another girl from the southern Mexico City, Jalisco, Querétaro, Sonora. Well, the one girl is originally from Sonora, but now she lives in Jalisco, which we'll have on the podcast in the future. But just to name a few, they're kind of spread out, but more in like central Mexico around Mexico City. What about you? Where are most of your friends from?
My friends, my Mexican friends, or
Hmm.
well, I was born here in Mexico City, but I was
So you're a
raised.
Chilango.
Yeah, but I was raised in in other place, in other state here in Mexico, in a beautiful state called Veracruz. It's
Uh-huh.
next to the Gulf of Mexico, but I was living in the mountains. So
Hmm.
in a small town called Coatepec, and
Okay.
is famous for its coffee plants, and the nature, vegetation. And well, most of my friends live in 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 Veracruz, in the state of Veracruz, but
Hmm.
also I made some friends here in Mexico City. Mhm. And I have Americans, some American friends. Some people they live in Georgia,
Mm.
Michigan. Oof. You live in Illinois.
Has anybody done the hand with like to show where they're from Michigan before or no?
Yeah, so some people they live over there. Yeah,
The good old mitten.
yeah.
Very good. I'm curious then, like if you could tell us all like one thing similar and one thing different between Veracruz and where you grew up in Coatepec, or no, not where you grew up. You grew up in Mexico City, but could you tell us like one difference and one similarity between Coatepec and Mexico City?
Oof. Well, I was born here in Mexico City, but when I was 8 years old, I
Uh-huh.
moved with my family to Coatepec, and then I came back to Mexico City around 6 years ago. I've been living here in Mexico City for more or less 6 years now. And well, the difference is that, as you can see, it's so noisy, the city. We are
That's
using special effects.
special dog effects.
Yes. And all the time, people are in a rush. They're doing so many activities, which is something awesome about Mexico City. I can go to festivals, places, museums, you name it. I'm also able to take dancing classes, and we have great cuisine. All in all, there is always something to do in Mexico City. Oof. Um,
I can understand that the dogs are distracting you a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. And I think we have museums, we have festivals, we have cuisine. We have a lot of things to do here in Mexico City. And
Uh,
when I
Go ahead.
am in my little town in Coatepec, it's so quiet,
Uh-huh.
it's so calm, so you can live peacefully there. You can do nothing. You can just enjoy life because you have all the time to do whatever you want. But if you are young, as I am, sometimes it's boring because you want to hang out with your friends, you want to go to the movies, and it's a it's 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 in between a city and a rural area. So sometimes it's boring, but it's full of vegetation,
Mm.
but it's so great because you can walk, you can hike, and that's really great.
It sounds like you have like a well-rounded like viewpoint and perspective of like a city and like a small town, kind of like to have both experiences. I think is a good thing to be able to like respect like the things that a small town has to offer and like that a big city has to offer. Because I think maybe not a lot of people have those opportunities, or they just go there for vacation, but you had the chance to live in both places and everything. Do you see yourself living in like a small town in Mexico in the future, when once you like settle down and everything, or is your plan to always live in a big city like Guadalajara, Mexico City, or Monterrey, or places like that?
Now that I'm young, it's okay to live in big cities. And because I have this energy, I want to do so many activities. And well, later I'm gonna talk about activities I used to do in Mexico City. But because of that, I have all this energy accumulated and I want to explore places where I want to use my my power, my energy here. I think it's okay for some years living in a big city. Maybe when I get older, I think I'm gonna try to live in a small place, in a place like Coatepec, something more quiet, something peaceful. But now I want to live here.
Your heart's definitely in Mexico City from what I can tell you telling me and everything, but I think that's a good plan to go somewhere a little more calm once that kind of like that fire and energy goes out of you from being young and everything. But I think that's pretty much it for today's podcast. No, and if there's anything you want to add, go ahead. But I think I'm pretty much out of words.
Yeah, I think it's time to say goodbye.
We are definitely looking forward to bringing new perspective about Mexico and sharing our knowledge and bringing on other people to share their knowledge. It's definitely a new and exciting journey for us, and I think it will be for our listeners to come along and take this journey with us as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right. Man, I can't believe you gave me that kind of response. I just went so deep there and you're just like, yeah, okay, I agree.
Yeah, it's because we're gonna have different point of views or different characteristics of
Mhm.
ourselves. So I'm gonna be here the quiet person.
No, 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 that's not true. You just need to believe in yourself and you'll be fine. But very good. We'll get into the next episode here next week, and I think that's all for today's podcast for Under the Sombrero. I'm Andrew, and
CMI from Mexico.
we'll see you all next time.
Bye.